Today I'm talking to you if you can't get pregnant, you don't want to get pregnant, but you want to have children. That means you've already worked through a lot, and bravo for you. I admire you, and I'm sending you waves of love. Getting to the point where you realize for you, it's not about the experience of growing a child, it's the experience of growing a child once the child is outside your body, or having the child grow in someone else's body. And that's fine. That's fine. I've lived my life that way, and I want to share with you what I've learned and hear what you think. So, broadly speaking, there are a couple of ways, two big ways, to bring a child into your life. And I'm saying a child instead of a baby because you can bring children into your life who are not infants. But let's start with the scientific way. IVF is a long, tough journey. And you know there are a lot of resources for you online. Before I talk to you about those, I wanted to look at some of them and see if I felt comfortable saying to you, this is a good place to go. So I started with Reddit and the subreddit on Baby Bump, which is a great place to vent, and it has some information that I think is reliable, and it has some information, not so much. So my preference for a group for you would be to see if you can find a local chapter or create a local chapter, a club of women who are working on bringing kids into their life, not through getting pregnant. That may be reaching out to Resolve and asking for lists of organizations in your area, so then you can see people and be with them. I thought about it because at the cancer center I go to sometimes, there are big signs about meetings for women who can't get pregnant. And they're not just for women who can't get pregnant because of cancer. They're just for women who can't get pregnant. And so I think a group is a good place to start. The other thing to do is interview people to help you. You're going to work with a specialist, and it's important that you get someone you really trust, because this is going to be an emotional journey. Part of it could well be, as you know, getting massive hormone shots so that you can create a ton of eggs, and you are going to be on an emotional roller coaster once that happens. So everybody you can get in your life at the beginning of the journey who's going to be supportive is good. One thing I wanted to mention that I have seen over and over again is early on, you want to find a lawyer. Now that sounds weird for surrogacy, but all of the state laws are different about what happens to a baby who's born by surrogate. An example, you decide to use one of your eggs, you have sperm from somewhere, and you need a birth mother, just in the sense of someone to carry your baby while your baby is growing. Depending on the state, that baby may be yours as soon as the baby is born, or you may need to adopt that baby. So the thing about surrogacy laws is they are changing all the time. And you want to make sure those are really, really, really good. You're also going to want to have a lawyer if you decide to use a surrogate. You're going to be working probably with a place that works with birth moms. They'll give you a contract. You're going to want your own lawyer to do it. All of this is expensive, and I think it's better to know sooner than later. You can save for your fertility treatments. You can, what I call, tin cup the family. There have been times where we needed money to care for someone in the family, and we just ask everyone to chip in. So if you have a big family, you might be able to do that. My feeling is that community is more important than privacy around big issues. Privacy can lead to secrets. Secrets lead to shame. Leave me a comment, please. Please leave me a comment on IVF, surrogacy, all of those solutions, and raising money for them. I'd love to hear if you've been through it. I'd love to hear if you're scared of it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about keeping it secret. You know why I think community is better than secrecy, but I want to know your point of view about not sharing too soon. I really want to hear you if you're in the process. And maybe we can reach out to the community and find a way to have more support for you. The other way to bring a child into your life that doesn't involve being pregnant, whether you can with IVF and some kind of surrogacy, or you feel like you can't, is adoption. Adoption is complicated, but it's doable. Now, I've heard a couple of objections to adoption, and so I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. The first one I've heard from good friends who've had maybe their second glass of white wine, both moms and dads, is, well, what if there's something wrong with them? Well, yeah, what if there's something wrong with them? You can have a baby who has challenges, and that actually turns out to be very beautiful. That's an advantage of living to a long age. I have a young cousin who has Downs, who is the joy of the family. He's just a ball of fire and great fun. Not all Downs kids are, but he's kind of a savant about rock and roll and has managed to talk people into doing charity concerts for charities he supports that nobody ever heard about. So you could find that you have a child who has some issues, and you will find that that child brings you so much joy you can't ever imagine another child. Another story, I know a couple who adopted a baby and only later found out he probably had fetal alcohol syndrome and had kind of a little bit tougher row to hoe. But then they realized that he was sent to them because they had the resources to help him. If he had stayed unadopted by them, if it weren't their family, none of them would have had the beautiful lives they had. So my first point is just, yes, it can always be a challenge. And yes, it will always be beautiful, no matter what. Now, the second one, I'm not as positive about being fixed. That could just be because of my experience, and you'll tell me what your experience is. I was married to a guy who really felt strongly about his sperm, loved his sperm, wanted a baby that was genetically like him. That was like, that's it, that's all. And I have since heard many other stories of people who are attached to wanting their child biologically. So that means one of three things actually. The first one is you don't adopt and you work it out technologically. The second one is you agree not to have kids. And the third one is you build a family together, right? Some other way. Either you decide that you're okay with using a donor egg and a surrogate and his sperm. I know someone who did that. She's never told me she did that. She didn't have to tell me she did that. The daughter looks totally like her husband and someone else, but it's fine, right? So either you make it work with the person who wants their biology in that child, or you decide, the way that person looks at the world, that's not working for me so much. In no case do you let that person feel like you're a failure. That's one thing that I have seen and I think is so unhealthy, and I want you to look hard at that. Comment to me about that if you think I'm being too tough, a tough old boot. But if they're telling you, if you cannot get pregnant, the natural way, which I had someone tell me, the natural way, then either I don't want kids or, you're broken. That to me is not a great partnership. I want you to look hard at that. And I want you to spend a little bit of time, give Granny 6 months maybe, where you really look at the relationship and think, do I want this person as a partner so much that I'm willing to give up my dream of having kids? Or my ray of sunshine is it's easier now when you're on dating apps and somebody says they have kids. A lot of people don't want more kids. You're kind of prime time, right? I have since learned that there are a lot of guys who are paying alimony, paying child support, they have kids, they want to have more. You've got a brand new big dating pool, honey. If you say to them, I want kids and I can't have them, and you're willing to work to make a new family with this new person, hallelujah, hallelujah, to mix up cursing and praise. That could be great. So I'm just going to summarize. This can all be fine. The point of this video is to tell you, fretting, not productive. Lots of things you can do and do now. If you have questions, please, please, please post them. This is a topic I feel I've paid my dues on, and I'm ready, willing, and eager to share.